Hey, would I be able to ask you guys?
Out my face.
Be free, you can breathe the air, it's safe. It's very safe to breathe.
They talk about hate. We are not spreading hate, we're spreading love and peace. So maybe they are watching so much fake news.
I've stood on the sidelines amongst them to try and get the gist of where they're coming from, and I don't quite yet buy into the whole paid protester thing yet, but yeah, there doesn't seem to be any cohesion or to their message. So, and it's obvious they have a different tone to their messaging than we do here that's expressed here. This is innate, this is coming from within. And that is, yeah, it's ugly, it's hateful, it's not what this is all about.
Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Syd Fizzard for Rebel News, and we're here at the United for Freedom rally in downtown Calgary. Now, of course, as you may already know, a lot of mandates and restrictions have been lifted, including the restrictions exemption program, which revolved around the vaccine mandates, the vaccine passports. Now, evidently, though, if you ask any of the guys here like we did last week, they'll tell you that the fight is not over. Their fight is not done yet because there are still plenty of mandates and restrictions in place that are impeding on their daily lives. So what we're going to do today, we're going to find out a little bit more about why they're here and what other restrictions lay in place for these guys that are impeding on their daily lives. So we're going to find that out. And as well, last week and the week before, you'll notice that there have been counter protests, which we're still trying to figure out what they're actually counter protesting. These guys here are, as they would say, for freedom. They're here to reduce the amount of government that is involved in our daily lives as citizens. So I'm not sure if the counter protesters are pro-government. I'm not sure what their stance is. We will try and ask them to find out, but like the last few weeks, they're probably not going to respond. So let's go find out.
I can't travel. I'm a truck driver, and I refuse to be vaccinated, so I can't go to the U.S. technically right now. And you know what? It's wrong. And I think that, unfortunately, from what we're hearing, they're trying to start a national digital ID. And no, it's wrong. It's just about control.
I think we also know a lot about what's coming down in terms of all the bills that are, I think some of them are actually at the Senate level.
Well, it's interesting because I actually saw a map of the world today that showed all the countries that still have mandates for against flying. It's Canada. So I can't fly to New Brunswick to visit my mother, who's actually in the hospital, for over a month. So I can't go and help her recover because I can't fly. So this isn't over until we are free to do as we please, whether it's with travel, bodily autonomy, going in for a coffee without a mask. It's more than just masks, and it's more than just a QR code.
For example, I saw in so many places right now, they are still asking for the vaccine passport to be able to continue working. So that didn't change.
That is correct. And if you happen to be unvaxxed, you can't travel in our country or abroad at all.
There are two main things that need to be changed. Companies shouldn't ask for people for the backpacks. They are conditioning that to be able to continue working.
And the Emergency Act has never been rescinded provincially or federally, which means they can enact it anytime they want back again to what we had, anytime.
Well, we still have as far as I'm aware, some of the workplace mandates. Most of the places, the establishments I go into, they're still wearing masks in there. And has been said here numerous times, you can't be partly free. Either you are or you aren't.
Well, we have to make sure that that's never going to happen again. And we still have the federal mandates, for crossing the border and the planes. We still have to fight. It's not over yet, Yeah,
there's so many people that want to travel. Like when you talk to any WestJet employees, as a good example, they're still only doing one tenth of what they were doing pre-COVID. Our economy is struggling, and we need everything we can do to keep this going. We've got it started, and of course it kind of scares a person when they talk about digital currencies and stuff changing. So we got to keep the pressure on.
I'm an oil field guy, master electrician. I can't go to work because Syncrude, Suncor, CNRL have all put double jabbed on the job board. I can't go to work. after the NDP destroyed my job with their Leave It in the Ground LEAP manifesto and the restrictions they put on our oil field. Now they're seeing the repercussions of it with gasoline that's $2 a liter. And, you know, they are literally tearing us apart from the inside. Let's get back to work. Let's stop with this media frenzy of COVID and go back to work and become free again. But until mandates are lifted and this idiot government that we have handing millions of dollars out the door to everybody but Canadians that need it, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep coming down here and I'm going to keep protesting, which is my right.
They want this to end. They want it to stop. And rather than listen to what our demands are, to listen to what our concerns are, they won't even acknowledge it. Rather than do that, they're going on these side roundabout ways to try to disrupt this rally.
For the last couple of weeks, we've seen a counter-protest arise. We've tried asking them, what are they counter-protesting? I mean, I think everyone here is for freedom and reducing the amount of government imposition into daily lives. Do you guys have any idea what those guys are counter-protesting?
I wonder if they're paid. I mean, do they really want to hold on to that shackle of lockdowns and mandates? Because if they let it go, they'd have to admit that maybe they were lied to, they were fooled. I don't know what their whole agenda is, because their messaging is contradictory. They'll have signs that say they don't support hate, and then it's like death to Nazis over on the other side. Like, it's completely contradictory. And then you have the leader of BLM screaming in her microphone at us. Like, it's a distraction. They're there on purpose. I think they're trying to instigate so that the city has some sort of means or excuse to actually lock down a peaceful, loving, unified march. That is what we do.
I don't know. You saw different signs from everything from keep education public to stop Nazis. I'm going, yeah, there's no Nazis here.
I've stood on the sidelines amongst them to try and get the gist of where they're coming from, and I don't quite yet buy into the whole paid protester thing yet, but yeah, there doesn't seem to be any cohesion or to their message. So, and it's obvious they have a different tone to their messaging than we do here that's expressed here. This is innate. This is coming from within. And that is, yeah, it's ugly, it's hateful, it's not what this is all about.
I think some of them are bitching about, okay, the noise that we make when we go on our little walkabout, but an hour inconvenience out of your week means nothing compared to your freedom for your life. And the other ones are just Antifa. And believe me, they don't want to talk. We're down here, thank you, Rebel, to dialogue, talk, exchange ideas. This is what society is about. It's not about you're wrong and damn it, I'm going to be mad about it.
No idea.
Actually, we don't know.
I saw a sign saying stop the hate. They talk about hate. We are not spreading hate. We're spreading love and peace. So maybe they are watching so much fake news. They don't understand why we are doing this, but we are spreading love and peace.
That is correct. Unfortunately, some of this is being put forward by the aldermen in this area, and that's unfortunate because it divides people even more.
Last rally, they were at the same park, but they barricaded the road on 17th Ave, which is obstructing traffic, and you wouldn't be able to do unless you had police help, right? Because the police were all there, which turned us on a different route, right? But they wouldn't have been able to do that had they not had the cooperation of the police, right? Because the police would have removed them off the road the same way they do anybody else. So, and then that was, again, them also just yelling and swearing at everybody. And then anybody that was like, went up to them was like, hi, how are you? And then was trying to be nice to them. And they weren't having it. They're just, go read a book, you stupid, and dropping like bad language.
It's a phrase that they're starting to call my dad. He might be the most persecuted man in Canada, possibly in its history. I haven't heard of anyone And I've experienced this since I was 5 years old when he was first arrested for reading the Bible in a park. And now he's 33 days in solitary confinement for giving a speech to the truckers, a sermon, actually. He went there to do the Lord's Supper. And he told them to hold the line while he was there. And for that, they want to imprison him indefinitely.
So I just heard you on stage. How many days has your father been in prison for?
33.
Yeah. What is his current situation?
So that's the thing, we don't know. I mean, he's in solitary confinement indefinitely. Our lawyers are really trying their best, but they're saying it's lawlessness. They're not, the courts aren't cooperating with them. They just received disclosure, so they can just start that process to get the bail appeal. But it seems like this isn't a legal trial. This isn't based on law. This is a political trial.
And a lot of the mandates and restrictions that he would have otherwise have broken during the time that they were being imposed, they're now being lifted, yet he still remains behind bars. How does that make you feel?
Well, that's exactly right. It doesn't make any sense. The mandates have been rescinded in Alberta, and the truckers have gone home. So there's no more blockade, there's no more trucker protests, there's no more convoys, and there's no more mandates. So the reasons for him being arrested and imprisoned are null and void. So why keep him in prison? The only logical reason is because this is a vendetta, this is revenge, this is to punish him for what he's done.
And lastly, if I could ask, he remains behind bars right now. How long do you think he's going to stay behind bars for?
I really don't know. I'm hoping he's let out as soon as possible. Our lawyers are really working hard to make that bail appeal date come as quickly as they can. But at this moment, we're at the mercy of the courts and the politicians, because it seems that the courts aren't making these decisions. It's the politicians above them. So it's the politicians that are responsible for this. So I'm hoping he gets his hearing, because right now he's being punished before he's had his day in court. What happened? Presumption of innocence. So I'm hoping it'll be in the next 2 weeks, because that would be realistically the soonest it could be. But, you know, with our circumstances and who my dad is, the target on his back, it could be any amount of time.
Free Pastor! Free Pastor! Free Pastor! Free Pastor! Free Pastor! Free Pastor! Free Pastor!
You've got this little device here. Could you just tell me what that is? How'd you come up with that?
It's the Freedom Horn.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just took apart a drill and put a little horn in it. Just the sound of freedom.
So the rally has begun to make its way through the city. Now, the last 2 weeks, you saw that there were counter protests that were at first just on the side, then blocking the way. And now, just steps away from where they would originally gather, you can see the counter protest has gotten even closer. Now they're blocking off an area that is especially close to the starting way of the rally. So maybe we'll just try and ask a couple of these guys some questions, what they think, and we'll see where this protest goes forward. Hey, would I be able to ask you guys? Okay.
I'll tell you that right now.
Would you guys, would I be able to ask you? Okay. I can ask you one question. I just want to know the main purpose of the counter-protest, or the main message.
The counter-protest?
Yeah.
I don't know. They got abused when they were children. They're angry people.
Hey there, sorry, could I just ask you the main narrative of the counter-protest?
No, leave us alone. Sorry, actually, we're not supposed to talk to you.
Well, there's only a couple counter-protesters here. Last week there were a bunch more up at the park that's a little further ways away. But the few counter-protesters that were here clearly didn't want to answer any questions, so it's unfortunate as it is. People still really don't know why they're counter-protesting, but it seems they are to some capacity. So. You guys are blocking that road. They're blocking.
We're just trying to keep the two groups from being meeting. That's it.
Yeah. So I guess
just a public safety thing. Man.
So this section of road, I guess these guys are going to be turned this way. I guess.
I don't know. If I knew, I'd tell you. I'm hoping, but I have no idea.
Thank you, officers, for everything you do. You're doing a great job. You guys are doing the same thing we're doing, though. You're distracting the public road. How is anything you're doing anything better than what we're doing? If you're blocking the road, if you're blocking the road, how is that any help? We go through the court. You're not fast enough. Go somewhere else. Walk around. Go
Go home. How about you go home? You're the one making the legal blockade. Oh, good for you. I am home.
Not right now, man. Sorry.
All right, guys, so we showed you that the police line was set up between the protest group and the counter-protest group. But now it seems like there is police on one side of the counter-protest group, and the protest group itself, the Freedom Rally, is on either side of the police line and on the back side of the counter-protest.
Freedom of all Canadians, including you fine people. Why are you blockading the road? Throw away the muzzle and join us. Be free. You can breathe the air. It's safe. It's very safe to breathe.
Well, I just noticed I'm an openly gay conservative. There's more blacks, Asians on our side than there is on their side. Their diversity is they have every shade of white over there. I'm proud to be a gay conservative. I am not with these left-wing lunatics, and they're making up facts and believing it without knowing any of us. This is the hypocrisy here. Antifa, I call them anti-fashion sense.
And can I ask you, do you have any inkling, like, what are they counter-protesting?
You know, they're protesting against freedom.
Yeah.
They do not like freedom. Like, my message is, if you want to wear a mask, wear one. You don't want to wear a mask, don't wear it. They are promoting oppression, fascism, communism, authoritarianism. That is the funniest thing here.
I'm just tired of you guys walking through my neighborhood every Saturday. That's kind of, and I don't agree with your position on the vaccine mandate.
We love you. I'm sorry. Through here, guys. Come on, baby. Oh, yeah. Push the lady. There we go.
So it looks like the added police enforcement that arrived opened up the sidewalks so that the protesters, the protesters on the other side of the police barrier could make their way around the counter-protest. The counter-protest right now is in between a police line on either side. They're not going anywhere right now. But as you can see, the Freedom Rally protest, they're making their way through as they normally do. And this counter-protest is no longer intruding on their march through the city. What do you make of what just happened there?
I think the police have gotten very lazy in their job because they could have easily separated them before we came around. And instead they're like, oh, you're not wearing jerseys, so we don't know what team you're playing for. That's their excuse.
But it seems like there was good news that the counter-protest did not stop these guys from making their way through the city on their regular route. Would you take that as a victory?
I take that as a victory that we are going to keep marching each and every week until all mandates are lifted all across Canada.
And lastly, you said there that we're going to see these guys next week. How do you think next week's going to unfold?
Well, it is the Worldwide Rally next week, so hopefully we get twice as much and the police are twice as quick at moving people out of the way.
All right, so you saw what happened, and earlier today we did talk to some of these protesters about what exactly they're protesting. Now, we tried to do the same thing with the counter-protesters, although they were not reciprocal. There was a couple people that I was able to get very small answers from, so we do appreciate finding out from them what it is they're counter-protesting. But that said, the counter-protest was effective temporarily at slowing these guys down, but after added police enforcement came, they opened up the sidewalk you can see back there, and they allowed the other protesters to come through that were still being blocked by the counter-protest. So the Freedom Rally marches on, and next week we're probably going to expect this kind of appearance again, although it is the Worldwide Freedom Rally, as one of the guys said. So it's going to be an even larger crowd, and I think if police do not go down the road of enforcement, maybe not necessarily arresting and pushing people out of the way, but if they do not act immediately, we're probably going to see a similar situation arise where the counter-protest group is stuck between the police and the protest group, and then the police will have to come and move further things along. So we don't know how that's going to develop, but we're going to find out. For Rebel News, I'm Syd Fizzard. If you want to help out the legal defense for those who are still having to deal with the repercussions of the vaccine mandates, the ones that are still in effect and the ones that were passed, because the damage has been done already. If you want to help them out, you got to go to fightvaccinepassports.com. It's a civil liberties project set up by the Democracy Fund aimed at legally protecting and fighting for those who are otherwise being marginalized by these vaccine passports. And donations would qualify you for a charitable tax receipt.